Hello, second grade Smarties, and welcome to Wit and Wisdom Module 3 Civil Rights Heroes Lesson 11. So, before we dive into our lesson today, I want us to refresh our questions that we are trying to build our knowledge in. So, our big pizza question, this is our essential question. Our essential question is, how can people respond to injustice? Our pizza slice question. This is the question we are trying to answer with our text about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And our pizza slice question, our focus question, is what was Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream for the world? And our pizza bite question, let's take a bite out of this pizza today, is what is the essential meaning of I have a dream? What is the essential meaning of our text, I have a dream? So, how we are going to be figuring out the essential meaning of this text is we are going to be talking about repeated words. So, the word repeated, it means that something is said over and over and over again. It's something that is done over and over. So, we have been talking about the song America, or you might know it as My Country 'Tis of Thee. What are some words in this word? What are some words in this song that you hear repeated? What are some words in this song that we hear over and over again? Tell me in the puzzle. So, two words that I heard a lot with this song was the words freedom and free. Why might the words freedom and free be repeated in this song? Why might we hear those words over and over again in that song? Why would we hear those words a lot? Tell me what you're thinking in the puzzle. Because this song is all about the freedom of America, right? It's all about the freedom that people died for, that we fought for. This song is all about America's freedom. Those words are important to the meaning of this song. So I want you to think about Dr. King's speech. All right, we're not going to listen to America. I want you to think of Dr. King's speech, I Have a Dream. What are some words that we hear over and over again in his speech? What are some words that are repeated in his speech? Tell me in the puzzle. One big word that we hear repeated in his speech is the word dream. We also hear him talk about freedom. Remember, he said, let freedom ring. He said those words a lot in his speech. So, what we are going to be doing today is we are going to be listening. We're going to be listening and looking at this text another time, and we are going to be listening for repeated words. So, I have a job for you. Are you ready? Okay. If you have brown hair, so like Miss Mason, if you have brown hair, I want you to hold up a finger for every time you hear, I have a dream. If you have blonde or red hair, I want you to hold up a finger every time you hear the words hope or faith. And if you have black hair, I want you to hold up a finger every time you hear the words together or freedom. Okay, are you ready? If you have brown hair, you're going to hold up a finger every time you hear I have a dream. If you have blonde or red hair, you're going to hold up a finger every time you hear hope or faith. And if you have black hair, you're going to hold up a finger for every time you hear the words together or freedom. All right, here we go. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places be made plain, and the crooked places be made straight. And the glory of God shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. Wow. Let's think about how many times we heard those certain words. So let's go back. Told you to listen. If you were in group 1, we heard Dr. King say, I have a dream 4 times. We heard him say the words hope and faith 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And we heard the words together and freedom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. We heard Dr. King say, I have a dream 4 times. Hope and faith 6 times, and together in freedom 7 times. Which words did he say more in that section of his speech? Tell me in the epistle. He said the words together and freedom the most. I want you to start thinking, why would he say all of those words so many times in his speech? All right. So, Dr. King said the word hope, dream, faith together in freedom multiple times. So, hope. Hope means a wish for something to happen, a desire. So, Dr. King desired or wished for freedom. His dream, that is another word for hope. And faith is to have confidence in something. Why do you think Dr. King would use these words so often? Why would he use these words over and over again? Tell me in the puzzle, why did he use these words so many times? So Dr. King used these repeated words in his speech to help the listener understand the meaning, his goal for the speech, and to encourage others to also have that hope, that faith, and that dream for freedom and equality for all. So we have read this book several times, right? And I know what you're thinking, oh, Miss Mason, we read books over and over again. We repeatedly read books. Why do we reread passages from a text? Why do we reread books? Why do we read them more than one time? Tell me what you're thinking in the puzzle. Why do we reread books? So we reread books in certain chunks of books to help us have a better understanding and to understand the meaning or the overall message of the book, right? So we read those to get a better understanding and to build our knowledge. So as we are reading this book for a second time, we are trying to find the essential meaning or the main lesson by thinking about the repeated words in this text. So, for this last section of the text, I want you to hold up a finger every time you hear the word, let freedom ring. All right, here we go. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring for every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. So, in that section of the text, what were some words that were repeated? I made you hold up a finger every time you heard certain words repeated. What words were repeated often in that section of the text? Tell me in the puzzle. Let freedom ring. We heard those words over and over and over again. Why does he say those words so many times in his speech? Why did he say the words, let freedom ring, so many times? Tell me in the puzzle, why did he say that? He said it because he wanted, his dream was for there to be freedom all over the United States. Not only the United States, but freedom all over the world. Freedom of what? Freedom from segregation, freedom of integration, right? To be free, to have equal rights, to have the same opportunities no matter the color of your skin. And he said, let freedom ring with different places in the United States. Freedom didn't just need to be in one place. Freedom needs to be everywhere and for all people. All right, so as we are thinking about the meaning of this text, I want you to think, we talked about zooming in to Dr. King's dream and zooming out. Okay, so on this page of the text, I want you to think, what is he zooming in about for his dream? Who is he zooming in about? I have a dream that one day little Black boys and Black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. Who was his dream about on this section of the text? Tell me in the puzzle. This was his dream for children, right? His dream for children to be able to play together, to be able to join hands and be together. All right, so let's zoom out. And when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. So we zoomed into his dream for children. Who is this dream about on this page? Is it still about children? Zoom out. It's about the world, right? This is his dream for the nation, for the world, that people will be able to join together, regardless of the color of their skin or their beliefs. So, I want you to think, what is the lesson that we can learn from this text? What is a lesson that we can keep in our hearts and our minds from Dr. King's speech? What is a lesson you have learned from this text? Tell me in the puzzle. So, a lesson that I have learned is that everyone deserves freedom. Everyone deserves freedom because all people are equal. All people were created equal. Everyone should have equal and the same opportunities, regardless of the color of their skin. I've also learned that Dr. King was very brave. He was very brave and very passionate and had a growth mindset about speaking on the need for freedom. All right, so we've learned the lesson from this text. We have also learned about how to use different sources to give us information with writing a text, with writing a paragraph, with responding to a focus question task. What are sources that we have learned about with learning about Dr. King's dream? What are some sources that we have used to learn more about Dr. King's dream? We've looked at photographs. We have watched videos about Dr. King. We've listened to his speech. We've listened to him give his speech. We've read the text, I Have a Dream. And we've also read the text, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the March on Washington. We have used 5 different sources with learning more about Dr. King's dream. So, why have we used those sources? Because we are going to be using those sources to help us answer this question. What was Martin Luther King's dream for the world? That's our pizza slice question. We're going to be answering this question. So we have our topic statement and our evidence because we had used Dr. King's the speech, I Have a Dream, the text, I Have a Dream, to give us our topic statement and our evidence. So we used I Have a Dream to know that Dr. King's dream was for children and the nation to have freedom, for those two things to have equality, right? Dr. Martin Luther King's dream was for everyone to be created equal. There's our topic statement. Our evidence comes from his dream for children. So we could say Dr. King dreamed that all God's children will sing My Country 'Tis of Thee with new meaning, or that little black boys and black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls. We also know that his dream for the nation is that the nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. Those are 3 sentences that we will use for our paragraph, right? So we are using the source, I Have a Dream, the text, I Have a Dream, to give our topic statements and our 2 sentences of evidence. So we are also going to use Martin Luther King and the March on Washington, that text, to give us our introduction statement and our conclusion statement. So remember, our introduction statement tells the reader what is the background information. What is this paragraph all about? So our introduction statement, we are going to give background information about Dr. King. Who was Dr. King? So for our introduction statement, we could say Dr. King was a preacher who used words instead of weapons. He gave a speech about his dream for the country. Okay, there's our topic. There's our introduction. We used our first text to help with the introduction. Our topic statement was that Dr. King dreamed that children and the nation would be free and equal. Then we have our 2 sentences of evidence about his zoomed in dream and his zoomed out dream. Our conclusion sentence is going to be the impact that Dr. King's dream had. So, how did his speech impact America? So, an example would be Dr. King's speech about his dream helped bring changes to the law. It was just a start. Remember, the Civil Rights Act came about a year after Dr. King's speech. So, Our introduction and our conclusion is going to come from our first text. So we are using both texts about Dr. King and his speech to help us answer this question. All right, Smarties, and we are going to wrap up our time with looking at these photographs. So, looking at these photographs, I want you to think, how are these photographs different? What is different about these photographs? Tell me in the puzzle. So, something that I notice is different about these photographs is that in the first photograph that we see with Dr. King marching, remember they marched for 5 days, there are a lot of people. I also noticed that in the second photo with Ruby Bridges, there's only 6 people. I also notice that these people are marching in a line. And I noticed that in this photograph that Ruby Bridges is surrounded by the US Marshals. But what are some things that these photographs have in common? What is something that is similar with these photographs? Tell me in the puzzle. So, something that I noticed that is similar about these photographs is that they are in black and white, which tells me that these photos are from the past. Something that I also know that is the same, and it doesn't tell me in the photograph, but I know that both of these photographs happened before the Civil Rights Act. So, these were happening during the Civil Rights Movement. All right, and let's wrap up our lesson with a deep dive. All right, so we have talked about prefixes and suffixes before. We have talked about how prefixes go before a base word. So we have talked about the word repeated or repetition. In the word repeated, we see these letters RE. Now, RE, re, can be a prefix. That means to do something again and again or to go back or backwards. But sometimes when we see RE at the beginning of a word, it does not mean it is a prefix. That's just part of a word. But let's look at some examples of words with the prefix re. So these words retell and reread. What do these two words have in common? What is the same about these two words? Tell me in the puzzle. They both start with the prefix re. Retell. If I retell a story, what does that mean I'm doing? I'm telling again. If I reread a story, that means I am reading again. So the prefix re means to do something again or to go back. So if I reread a story, I am reading it again. So we have also learned about 3 other prefixes. We've talked about the prefix un, dis, and in, and all of those mean not. Unfair means not fair. Dislike means to not like. Injustice means not justice. So these prefixes can change the meaning of a word. Like has a different meaning than when we add the prefix dislike. I can like something or I can dislike something, right? I cannot like something. So I want you to think about prefixes that we could add to these base words. So I am going to type in some prefixes and we are going to see if they can make sense. So let's say I add the prefix un. Would that make sense? Unappear. No, that doesn't make sense. Let's try reappear. If something reappears, that means it appears again. So reappear, whoops. Reappear means to appear again. What about use? What prefix can I put in use? In use? No, that doesn't make sense. What about disuse? Oh, that doesn't make sense. What about reuse? If I reuse a pencil, what am I doing? I'm using again, reuse. All right. For two of these, because we're going to wrap up this lesson, I want you to think of two prefixes that you could use for pack and fill. What are some prefixes that you could add to pack and fill? I want you to write the base word with the prefix in the Ed puzzle and tell me what those words mean. All right, Smarties, that is going to be it for today's lesson. Remember, keep that growth mindset. Good learners do hard things and always stand up for what is right. Happy learning, Smarties.